Senator Risa Hontiveros wants the Senate Committee of the Whole to investigate former President Rodrigo Duterte's bloody war on drugs. In a radio interview on Thursday, October 17, Hontiveros says she will propose to the Senate leadership the convention of a Senate Committee of the Whole to investigate the previous administration's war on drugs. A Senate Committee of the Whole is composed of all senators with the Senate President as chair. Hontiveros adds that it is important to know the truth regarding the war on drugs, especially for the families of the victims of extrajudicial killings. Hontiveros further says a Senate Committee of the Whole investigation will help encourage more victims who are survivors to testify against the deadly drug campaign. Hontiveros' statement comes after Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who heads the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, announced on Wednesday, October 16, that his committee will conduct the probe on the war on drugs. De la Rosa served as the first Philippine National Police Chief during Duterte's administration. He was also the chief implementer of Duterte's Oplan Tokhang. De la Rosa said that former President Duterte will be called into the probe, as well as his former cabinet members who could serve as resource persons in the probe. Senator Imee Marcos says that the probe on the war on drugs during former President Rodrigo Duterte's administration must be brought to the court instead of the Senate. On Wednesday, October 16, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who heads the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, announced that he plans to lead a Senate investigation on the drug war. De la Rosa was the first chief of the Philippine National Police appointed by Duterte. He was also the chief implementer of the drug war. But in a forum on Thursday, October 17, Marcos says it would be better to bring the drug war probe to the court if there's already enough evidence.
Ang maganda siguro, palibasa marami na tayong nasakop ng mga katibayan, dali na natin sa korte kapag sapat na. Let's bring it to court so that hindi masabihan that it is partisan or self-serving or otherwise untruthful. Kinakabahan ako na masabihan na self-serving, tapos mag-uumpugan lang kami ng ulo ng Congress. Ang akin kasi, maliwanag dapat na yung hatian ng trabaho ng tatlong sangay ng ating pamahalaan.
According to Marcos, a great deal of evidence has already come forward at the House of Representatives Quad Committee investigation into the drug war. However, Marcos notes the need to identify which legislation could be produced. Meanwhile, Senate President Chis Escudero says that it will be better if Senator De La Rosa will not lead the investigation on the previous administration's drug war to avoid allegations of partiality. Escudero says that he will still consult the matter with other senators, but notes that he has spoken with Senator De La Rosa. According to Escudero, he told De La Rosa that it might be better if he and Senator Bongo would not lead the probe so there won't be any allegations that it is personal, biased, or unfair. Escudero says that while a Senate Committee of the Whole is an option, he is also considering other committees to handle the investigation. The Commission on Audit says there is a high likelihood that the Office of the Vice President used 34 safe houses worth 16 million pesos for just 11 days in December 2022. During the hearing of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability on Thursday, October 17, Antipolo's 2nd District Representative Romeo Acop asked the Commission on Audit if the 34 acknowledgement receipts from the Office of the Vice President for the use of safe houses in 2022, which was coursed through confidential funds, corresponds to one safe house each. Commission on Audit Team Leader Gloria Camora initially says that she could not confirm this, but eventually says that there is information that indicates that each of the 34 acknowledgement receipts represents one safe house.
Sabi nyo kanina, rental of safe houses in the amount of 16 M with 34 acknowledgement receipts. Is it logical for me to conclude na 34 safe houses ito?
Mr. Chair, it just means that 34 people were paid for rental supplies.
Yung 34 acknowledgement receipts given by 34 persons, hindi ba nangangulugan yung 34 na safe houses yon?
Yes, sir. There's information that one receipt may pertain to one safe house.
Safe house.
Acop then questions what kind of safe house were used considering that one property was rented for 500,000 pesos for just 11 days.
So, if I asked you yung receipt na amounting to 500,000 for the payment of rental of safe house, would it be logical for me to conclude that this is for one safe house for 11 days?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Para sa 11 days, yung 500,000 para sa isang safe house.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, if I asked you, how much would that be per day para sa isang safe house?
Mr. Chair, it would amount to 45,000 something, 45,454.55 per day.
Aside from the safe house that was rented for 500,000 pesos, Committee Chairperson and Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua also shows the acknowledgement receipts for safe house rentals where 1 million pesos was paid by the Office of the Vice President. The Office of the Vice President and Vice President Sara Duterte have been scrutinized after hearings at the House revealed different issues regarding budget utilization, from confidential funds in 2022 and 2023 to anomalies in the delivery of projects. House Majority Leader Manuel Jose Dalipe previously said that Duterte may be held liable for graft if she cannot explain how funds were spent, particularly regarding items with adverse findings from the Commission on Audit. The Commission on Audit handed out a notice of disallowance against 73.2 million pesos of the OVP's 125 million pesos confidential funds for 2022, an item that several lawmakers said should not be available in the first place, as the original budget crafted during the time of former Vice President Leni Robredo did not have this item. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr met with former Vice President Leni Robredo and former Senator Bam Aquino before the inauguration ceremony of the Sorsogon Sports Arena on Thursday. Marcos shook hands with Robredo and Aquino, but no details have emerged on whether they discussed anything. Senate President Francis Escudero invited Robredo to welcome Marcos in the province, according to Press Secretary Cesar Chavez. This was the first time that Marcos and Robredo were seen in public together since the 2022 elections. They were rivals for the presidency in that election, where Robredo lost to Marcos. Nearly 3 years after her last election run, Robredo is eyeing a return to government service after filing a certificate of candidacy for mayor of Naga City last October 5. Situated in Barangay Balogo, Sorsogon City, the sports arena is part of the 7.1-hectare Sorsogon Sports Complex, which began construction in 2018. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group filed a sedition and inciting to sedition case against the lawyer of Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, Attorney Israelito Torion, as well as former National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict spokesperson Lorraine Marie Badoy Partosa and 10 KJC members. Based on a complaint filed before the Department of Justice, the CIDG cited events that unfolded during the months-long arrest of Quiboloy at the KJC compound in Davao City. Under the revised penal code, the crime of sedition is committed by persons who rise publicly and tumultuously by force, intimidation, or by other means outside of legal methods in order to prevent the national government or any provincial or municipal government or any public officer from freely exercising its or his functions or prevent the execution of any administrative order. The complaint states that Torion and the other respondents barricaded the KJC compound when the police tried to serve the arrest warrant to Quiboloy on August 24. The complaint also notes that vehicles of KJC members and supporters barricaded the highway and attacked members of the police's civil disturbance unit. The complaint likewise states that protesters threw monoblock chairs and stones at the civil disturbance unit contingents, adding that the protesters also sprayed fire extinguishers and mocked the officers. With regard to the inciting to sedition complaint, Philippine National Police spokesperson Brigadier General Jean Fajardo says the complaints were also in relation to the cybercrime law. She cites the supposed calls made through the social media accounts of the respondents, encouraging their countrymen, particularly KJC members, to rise up and depose the current administration. Fajardo also says the PNP is preparing another complaint for obstruction of justice. Vice President Sara Duterte's security group now has a temporary residence inside the General Headquarters of the Armed Forces of the Philippines in Quezon City. In a Facebook post, Duterte shared that she attended the inauguration and blessing of the new facilities and vehicles of the Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group at Camp Aguinaldo. According to Duterte, the new facilities and assets would help the Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group ensure her safety while performing their duties. Last August, the AFP revealed that around 400 of its personnel are under the Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group. The AFP explained that the number of Duterte's security detail members increased because her security group is now under the Presidential Security Command. This complied with an assignment of unit order issued by AFP on July 9, designating the Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group AFP as a subordinate unit of the Presidential Security Command. Duterte's security group was a hot topic in July after she confirmed that the Philippine National Police pulled out all 75 members of her security group. She called the removal of her police security a clear case of political harassment and claimed that the National Police were casing her residence. The PNP leadership said there is no truth to Duterte's allegations. The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board reopens the applications for public utility vehicle consolidation until November 28. According to LTFRB Chairperson Chofilo Guadis III, unconsolidated PUV operators and drivers have 45 days to submit their applications in response to the Senate's request. Guadis adds that consolidated PUVs from this round of applications will automatically qualify for fuel subsidies once they submit their applications. Based on the data from the Department of Transportation, there are still more than 36,000 PUVs that remain unconsolidated past the April 30, 2024 consolidation deadline. The Department of Transportation also reported in a previous House Committee hearing that about 155,000 of more than 191,000 PUVs in the country have been consolidated. In July 22, senators have filed for a resolution pushing for the temporary suspension of the program to pave way for a review and address the issues raised by transport groups.